So we are going to start walking through the IAM workshop because our master of analogies and the brain behind this whole training and information sharing, Ashish already shared the bits and parts. So I don't want to kind of explain like the details over in the workshop, but rather we'll show you hands-on part, how we can actually get started, what is the main kind of pain point we hear across from different people who started to use AWS and their preferences. So again, as we did last week, I'd like to share the workshop link here in the chat. It's General Immersion Day. Last week we covered Compute, Amazon EC2, and this week we will be covering IAM hands-on. So let me share my screen and we can go ahead and discuss what we are going to do today. So abracadabra, let's start sharing. Select window. One. Okay. Right. Okay. I hope you are able to see my screen. Okay. Yeah. Yes, I can see that you are able to see my screen. So this is the workshop. Yes, someone said yes. All right, cool. So this is the workshop. IAM hands-on lab. So as I said, it's the continuation what we started. It's level 100, meaning it's pretty straightforward. I don't want to say basic because it might seem a bit rude that, hey, you're showing us some basic stuff. But if you're just starting with AWS services and you want to see kind of how things are kind of stitched together, then this is a pretty go-to workshop for you. So IAM hands-on lab, this is the overview. It explains what it is, what it does. And here, there's a phenomenal architectural diagram which kind of explains you what is this lab about. So sometimes when I speak to people who are using AWS or who are planning to use AWS for different environments, they always say, hey, we really want to make sure that we restrict people from accessing specific resources. Meaning, if it's a developer user, we don't want developers to shut down an EC2 instance in production. We want to restrict that access, or even spinning out unnecessary EC2 instances, which will cost us, of course, more money that we don't want. But we want to kind of be able to set the specific permissions for specific user groups and for specific users. So how do we do that? So this is basically the diagram. So we are going to create 2 instances. Again, what I did beforehand, I created already these 2 instances before the show yesterday. So I created 2 instances. I will walk through how I did that based on the workshop, so you can do this similar on your own. 2 instances, and then I added the tag for the instances like dev instance and prod instance. And then we are going to create a user. We will name it developer dev user, and then we will go ahead and create a dev group as well. And we will attach the permissions. What we are also going to do, which is my personal opinion is really cool, is that when you actually create permissions and assign users, before sharing all this whole setup with the users, you would want to go and test, hey, how is it gonna look like from that person's or that group's perspective? Is it really working, or maybe I missed something, or maybe there's something that I gave more permission, less permission? Like, how exactly is it gonna look like before I actually add users or share this setup with my group, with my team? So we have a tool which is here. which is called, how is it called? Policy Simulator. Test the access for resources. So basically we have the policy simulator. We will go ahead, we will select the group, and we will simulate the policies for these users. And we will see, okay, like if we stop the instance, what's going to happen? If we shut down the instance, what's going to happen for those users? So you are able to see before actually implementing in production or sharing it with your users. Any questions so far? Type it in the chat. I will be happy to see who are listening or who are putting me in the background, who is speaking and sharing this positive energy. So far, so good. Great. Thank you. Yes, great. Nice. Okay, fantastic. We can get started. So let's go ahead and launch EC2 instance. All right. So I will just move it away like this. Still following along. Fantastic. Thank you. The Real Coffee Brown. What a nice username. EC2. So we are going to create the EC2 instance. This is my dashboard. I just want to kind of show you the EC2 instances. Oh yeah, by the way, I was testing one of our new services, AWS Cloud 9 Code Whisperer, which is, I don't want to say alternative to ChatGPT, but whatever, it is kind of similar to ChatGPT, which is called Whisperer. And to be honest, it was fantastic. I really, really loved it, especially the integration with Visual Studio and with Lambda. Oh my Lord, it saved me tons of times, especially when I have to code and I don't have much time, but I need to prepare the demo. So this was basically the instance I set up in Cloud9. Code Whisperer was working amazing. So if you haven't tried, by the way, you can go ahead and try it. Cool. So Besa prod instance and Besa dev instance, that's what I created. We can create all together as well. I just want to show you way to actually tag the EC2 instance, because if you don't know how to create an EC2 instance, which is absolutely fine and absolutely normal, you can go ahead and watch our previous recording in the previous week 3. So you will see, like, I was presenting how to create an EC2 instance. Here, I will just walk through how to do it like quickly, but what I want to focus on, name and tags. So we will follow along the workshop. Here, launch an instance. Here we go. So the name we can do, for example, Besa production instance, for example, right? And then there is a button here which says add a tag. So if we're going to add tags, so with key, I can write it's going to be environment, and the value I want to say that it's production, prod or production. Production sounds a bit silly, right? Let's do prod. But because I already have prod, it's kind of nonetheless. Okay. So environment, prod, right? And then we go ahead, basically leave all the other settings as default. T2 micro, which is free tier eligible. Okay, key pair name, I used Besa Twitch or Besa Program 2 that we all created last week in our live session. So you can use any key pair that you created earlier. So, and then I just use the default VPC, no preferences for subnet. I say, okay, create a security group. This is, again, not secure, giving access from anywhere, and 0.0.0, like all this setup. This one is not secure at all, but for testing, just for seeing how things are working in the background, it's good enough. I don't want to give access to allow HTTPS traffic or HTTP, so I just leave it as it is. And here you see that Once you allow it, it gives you kind of a warning, just be aware, etc. We are aware of the risk, and I'm not running on that instance anything production ready or anything sensitive, so I'm okay with whatever we've got. So summary here, it says what we're going to do, and then if you hit the launch instance, it will launch successfully. But because I'm frugal, I don't want to launch an unnecessary instance, and which will eat up my environment and will cost me additional money. Or maybe not, because it's tier 2. Nonetheless, so Besa Dev instance and Besa Prod instance. So basically, with the same logic that I showed you, you will need to create 2 instances. One, it will be for production. One will be for dev. Let's go ahead and see what is... so the workshop basically says exactly what I said. It shows you how to create name and tags. So the first one, dev instance, and then the second one will be the prod instance. And then once you create it, you will see like here. Once you create it, you can go ahead, like click on Besa Prod instance, and then you can go to tags. Oops. Okay. And in the tags, you can see name, Besa Prod instance, and the key here that it's environment and it's called prod. Same goes to dev instance as well. Okay. Besa Dev instance, environment dev. Okay. Now we are going ahead. You've deployed 2 instances with different resource tags. Fantastic. Now we're going ahead to create IAM identities. So let's see what we need to do. So here it says you need to create dev group, and then dev users, attach permissions for dev users that they are allowed to access or stop, in this case, the EC2 instance with the tag name dev, and they're not allowed to access or do anything with prod instance. So for that, we're going ahead. Yeah, here is an important also kind of part, is that they are asking for, they're saying about you need to log into IAM console, and you need to generate console login sign-in URL, which you can customize it. So for customization, once you log into your IAM dashboard, you will see a similar UI. And then here you click on create, and you create with the preferred alias. And I'm going to show you, because I already created it, I'm going to show you how it looks like once you create. And that's what I did. So here I had a button to create a customized URL, and then I added account alias Besa Twitch program. And then this is the sign-in URL for IAM users in this account. So later, like in a couple of minutes, we will copy the link, and then we will log in with the users that we created, and we will try to access or stop the instances that we allowed or we did not allow to do anything. Like dev user is not allowed to stop instances in prod account. That's what we're going to do. So for that, yeah, I just customized the alias and URL in this setup. Cool. So once you save the changes, it says you need to go to policies and then create a policy. So what the policy says here, that effect allow to all EC2 instance. And the most important part also here is that resource tag environment, which will be dev. So what we're saying is that they are allowed to action as an EC2 describe, but deny if they're trying to delete tags or create tags. And resource for all. Okay, so here it explains as well, when defining policy, you can create an edit in Visual Editor in or JSON. We will use JSON method, and what I did, so I just copied this policy. Again, for production environment, we do not recommend to do the same, but for your testing purposes, for learning purposes, go ahead and click the copy button here, and then create the policy. Create the policy with the policy name called dev policy. All right, so if we go policies, right, and then if we create a policy, okay, here you can use Visual Editor. That's what the workshop was explaining, or you can go ahead and say the JSON, and then you can copy and paste the policy from the workshop. Okay, so then you can go ahead and click the tags button. As far as I remember, it doesn't add any tags. You can add some tags if you want to, but in the workshop, as far as I remember, it didn't add any tags, but rather it just added the policy name, dev policy, the description, and then it created the policy. Let's go ahead and review. So the name could be like dev policy. You can describe that this is a policy for dev users. HTTP tagging, explicit deny. This is allow what is happening, and then we hit the create policy button. I'm not gonna hit the create policy because I already have the policy, and that's what I did yesterday while I was preparing. So what we can do here, so once you hit the create policy, it will create like literally in a few seconds, and then you can go ahead and search for the policy that you just created. It will look like this, dev policy, and you can expand and see what is this policy all about. Yeah, it will deny, delete tags, create tags. It will work for dev environment. Cool. Let's cross-check together with the workshop, right? So here, click user groups. So we need to create the group, and our group will be dev group. And then it will attach the permission policies for that group. The permission policy will be the one that we just created. And then at the end, we will add users. Cool. So we're going to user groups. I already created dev group, but just to show you how to create. So you just write the name here, Besa dev group. And then you can add the users. I already created dev user yesterday because I was testing things. So you will see here dev user. But if you haven't created, don't worry, it will be completely empty here, which is absolutely fine. And as it says here, it's optional. So don't freak out that, hey, I don't have a user to add my group. It's absolutely normal. So here for permission part, you will need to add dev policy. You will need to attach this policy for these user groups. Okay, and then we hit the create button, create group, and it will create the group for us. All right. Yes, I want to leave. So this is the basically dev group you will see that's been created. You'll see the permissions, that the policy attached. You will see you have the access advisor, which kind of explains the allowed services, like a high level definition of what's going to happen with this group. Next, we're going to create a user and then attach this user to that, add this user to that group. So pretty straightforward, right? We go to user, we create the user, we give the access what we want to give to the user, and then we add that user to the group. Sounds pretty cool. So we go add users, let's say Besa dev user. Do we want to give that user access to AWS Management Console? Yes, I do. And then I want to create an IAM user here. I don't want auto-generated password, but for security, if you prefer that, auto-generated password will be secure and safe. In this case, I will just use custom passwords, whatever password you want, and then you can leave as the default, like they checked. Users must create a new password at next sign in, which is recommended. Like if you are going to set a password for the user, and then you give it to the user, and then as soon as they log in, they will be forced to change their password, which is, again, a good security practice. In this use case, and when I created, I said no need for that, because I am the user who will be using this kind of user and group and testing it all. So I don't want to be bothered with changing the password, creating a new one, because again, I'm the only one who's doing all these things. So, and then I click the next. Okay, apparently I need to say something here, and then I need to click. Oh, all right. I wanted to cheat, but it didn't let me, which is fine. So then it says, let's set the permission. So it asks, you can either add the user to the group, attach policies directly, or copy the permissions. I'll leave it add user to group. So what is the group? We have dev group. That's what we're going to do. Do we need to add a permission boundary? No, I'm not adding, at least at this time. I'm going to simplify my own life, because as soon as I add permission boundary, I get personally confused. But it is also a good practice to know what is a permission boundary, because it's kind of, it covers an additional layer of protection as well. We're going to keep it simple. And then we go and see review and create. Okay, so you see that user details, what is happening here, require password reset, no. And then you hit the create user, and the user will be created. Yes, I'm sure to leave this page without saving anything. So here we see the dev user, the user in dev group. Last activity was 19 hours ago, which is correct. Password age 19 hours ago. That's it, basically. If we go to user, we can see if there's any tags, and it says also the console access enabled without MFA, multi-factor authentication. It is in one group, and security credentials, we can see what is happening here. The console sign-in link. Okay, so once we created the user, we added the user as well. And then you go to click on sign in URL and log in as dev user. So it will look like something like this. We will have dev user, we will have the password, and then we will log in to the console from this dev user. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Okay, so here we have the dev users IAM username. We are going to write the password. I hope I remember which password I set yesterday. I really hope so. Fingers crossed. Yay! It was correct. Cool. So what we're going to do, we're going to EC2 instance. So here you can see that it is a dev user at Bessa Twitch program that we created. Now we go to EC2 instance, and we will try to mess up with the EC2 instances that we have. All right. So let's say, like, I'm a dev user, and I just decided that there's no need for prod instance to be running, which is a weird scenario, but whatever. Let's just try to stop this instance. It gives me a huge fail to stop instance and says that you are not authorized to perform this operation, encoded authorization failure message. So which shows that whatever the policy we just attached to this user is working and is correct, that this user is not does not have permission to stop or to do anything related to prod instance. And if we go down this side, that apparently this user also is not authorized to see alarm status. For that, you will need to add in the policy, like, do you want this user to see the CloudWatch describe alarms or not? I didn't set anything. I kept it simple as it was in the workshop. But if you see alarm status here that it is restricted for this user, it's absolutely fine. All right. All right. But if I want to see if I can stop the dev instance, we can do that too and see if it is working for dev instance. Oh, it doesn't. All right, fantastic. And now I don't remember if I try to stop. Okay, it says dev instance, was it to stop? Now I don't remember what policies I actually give it. Okay, allow describe apparently everything. So it will deny delete tags and create tags. Cool. Where we can also test it, test the policies. Let's leave this user alone, basically. If we go to, give me a second, I will need to connect to my admin user, which will take me a few seconds. My admin user, education, admin. Okay. Okay, so if I go to my admin user, right? Admin user, yeah, if I go to IAM, Oh, I'm still in dev user. Oh, goodness me. Goodness. Okay, I need to somehow show you that. I need to, what I'm trying to do is to access my admin user and show you how I can test the policy before I give to my dev users. Oh, it's not working. All right, so is it possible? Give me a shout if you see my, okay, give me a second. Okay. Give me a shout if you see my screen. Yes, no. I hope you're able to see my screen, which I didn't want specifically to share this. Okay, cool. You can see my screen. Okay. So if we go to IAM, and then here, or if you go to the workshop, you can see the policy simulator. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I will go and simulate the policy, whatever I want to attach to my user group, and see does this make sense or not. So if I go to dev user, which is the basically the users that I want. Now I'm struggling because I need to follow along. Goodness, sorry for this mess. I'm trying to use my laptop, not the second screen, not to bother you all. All right. I hope. Okay. So now we're testing the access for resources. No, we don't. I want to go to, okay. You can go to IAM Policy Simulator from Workshop or from the link that I just showed you on IAM Console. So you go and select the dev group. What it says here, if you have tons of groups generally, you can just search here and then find the dev group. Here you're going to run the simulation, but before that you need to choose what policy you want to simulate, right? Here you have Amazon EC2 and then two actions, which will be delete tags and stop instances. I think I played around something similar yesterday, and I probably messed up something which wasn't specifically working now. Okay, which actions we want? Okay, delete. I think it was delete, right? Delete instance. All right. God help me to find delete instance from this list. Yesterday I was quite frustrated as, okay, delete tags and stop instances. Okay, not the delete instance, but delete tags. Okay, cool. So delete tags or describe tags. Okay, delete. I found delete. Okay, delete tags and stop instances was somewhere at the bottom. Yes, stop instances. These are the two things that I want to simulate. Delete tags, right? It says resource not. Okay. Then once I selected the policy simulator for what I want to simulate the policy and actions, I can run the simulation for this dev group. If I click the run policy, run simulation, I can see that the permission is denied. And if we open up this bit, and then we can see why it's denied. And we can see that the statement here, it says deny, easy to delete tags and create tags and resources are all. And if we go here, we can see that for all instances, yeah, that is the reason it didn't work, right? So for all instances, for this user, it's denied to stop the instance. That's the reason I couldn't stop the instance in production and in dev. However, if I'm going to, if I'm going to change and add the instance environment dev, right? And then I say, hey, not for all instances, but maybe for dev, oops, it will be allowed. So let's say I understand I just ran the simulation, or I just ran the actual kind of action. I tried to stop prod and dev, and you saw that in both cases it failed. And I thought maybe I did something wrong or messing up with something. Apparently, in the policy, I specified that for this user group, deleting tags and stopping all instances are denied. Unless I specifically add the dev, it will be allowed. So if you go to your policy, so this was just a simulation. It doesn't mean if I go now and stop the dev instance, it will work. It will not. But if we specify this bit in our policy, then it will be allowed, and we will be able to stop the instance in dev environment. Any questions? All right. Assign IAM role for each.
This is good, Jamila. Just one thing I want to share, that if you are using a policy based on tag, be very careful to whom you allow tags to be added or removed. Like you mentioned, otherwise somebody could misuse tags. They may assign a tag and they get better privilege than what we were expecting. So control who is allowed to create tag and who is allowed to remove tags also. Otherwise, you would be signing up for a lot of complications. So it's a very nice feature, but it has to be taken into consideration about the tag permissions itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. Absolutely. So it is the end of the workshop. The next part says assign IAM role for EC2 instance and test the access, which is kind of related to S3 bucket as well. Feel free to go ahead, walk through this workshop, and then clean up the resources by terminating your instances so it doesn't cost you, it's not running automatically or it costs you money. Feel free to delete your user groups. users as well, and the policy as well, if you don't require, as it says in the workshop. And then, yeah, let us know if you have any questions. But basically, yeah, this was the end of the workshop that I wanted to share with you. Ash, you are on mute. Fantastic.
All right. So can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All right. Yeah. So I was saying that it is very important to practice, otherwise you will lose track of what you learned. So keep practicing. And if you
Mhm.
check the resources section, we put some links where you can go ahead and practice these things. Already Jamila shared workshop that is there, and I have put a link where you can practice for free on Quick Labs. Quick Labs give you some free accounts, so check the resources page and you will find a lot of information there. I have added some video links also and additional resources, so learn on those things, and unless you practice it would just wash away. So don't delay it. Maybe take a day or two, but at least practice, or at least go through this demo again, or read the workshop. If you can't practice, at least read to understand like what is available and how you can utilize all these things. So hopefully that would help. I wanted to also thank Abhijit, who was helping us with the chat today, but he is now gone, so I couldn't add him. But yeah, he's been helping behind the scene with lots of stuff which we are doing, and this program is only possible because of volunteers like Jamila, me, Abhijit. We are doing this in all our free time, and we hope you are getting the value out of it. So spread the word. We can see a decline in the number of people joining, but that's completely fine. Not everyone can devote time, and being consistent is the best complicated thing, I would say. Enrolling for something, joining one session or two, it's quickly easy, much easy. Like we have full energy to join on the very first time, but to keep that consistency is really complicated. And we appreciate you are still here with us in week 4, and we hope to deliver more sessions to you. Anything we can do differently, any more suggestions you have, like we are trying to add resources at least a day before, so that you can go through those resources and ask question. And I would be also changing the sequence, so we will have networking track first and the session next session, and then technical track, so that it will be followed directly with the hands-on to give the flow of the session. So that would be much better. So keep these type of questions coming up, sessions coming up, and suggestions coming up, and do share, do like, and let us know how we can improve it.
Thank you, Ashish. And I see in the comment section, lots of people are saying good things, saying thank you so much all for joining, for listening, for bearing with us as well. And I wanted to also thank Parna, who is one of our
Yeah.
colleagues. Joining, volunteering, helping in the comment section. We really appreciate your support, Parna. And we wanted to thank all of our volunteers in the background who are tirelessly working, and while we're planning what to do on top of our day-to-day job. So thank you all, and it wouldn't be possible without you all.
Yeah, exactly. So have a good one, everyone, and we will meet you next week with more interesting stuff. And any between, if you have any questions, any suggestions, just let us know, and we would be happy to accommodate that. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.